Describe the real purpose of a deposition. Describe the real purpose of a deposition. Collect sworn statements, reuse later, often out of context. Explain what a deposition is not. Explain what a deposition is not. Not a conversation, not a chance to explain story, not a place to argue fairness. Identify the greatest risk in a deposition. Identify the greatest risk in a deposition. Explaining, interpreting, moralizing instead of answering narrowly. Define role blurring in legal contexts. Define role blurring in legal contexts. Lawyers making a friend sound like a caregiver, decision maker, fiduciary. How do you resist role blurring during a deposition? How do you resist role blurring during a deposition? Calmly restate your actual role, repeat if necessary. Give a safe response to role blurring questions. Give a safe response to role blurring questions. I was a friend, did not manage finances, did not make decisions. What is the frequency trap? What is the frequency trap? Using time, calls, messages to imply control or influence. Explain why frequency can be dangerous if left vague. Explain why frequency can be dangerous if left vague. Repeated contact can imply dependence, manipulation. How should you respond to questions about frequent contact? How should you respond to questions about frequent contact? Acknowledge contact, deny authority. Give a safe response to the frequency trap. Give a safe response to the frequency trap. Yes, we communicated often. That did not involve financial decisions. Define the vulnerability trap. Define the vulnerability trap. Turning aging or illness into legal incapacity. Explain why diagnosing vulnerability is dangerous. Explain why diagnosing vulnerability is dangerous. Not qualified to assess legal capacity. What is a safe response to vulnerability questions? What is a safe response to vulnerability questions? I'm not qualified to assess capacity. I can only describe what I observed. Describe the interpretation trap. Describe the interpretation trap. Asked why instead of what happened. How should you approach answering why questions? How should you approach answering why questions? Avoid them, invite speculation and legal conclusions. Give a safe response to interpretation questions. Give a safe response to interpretation questions. I can't speak to their reasons. I didn't make that decision. Define the motive trap. Define the motive trap. Using outcomes implying intent or wrongdoing. Explain why benefit is not proof of exploitation. Explain why benefit is not proof of exploitation. Benefit does not prove intent causation. Describe a safe response to motive questions. Describe a safe response to motive questions. I learned about the outcome after the fact. I did not direct it. What is the moral counterfactual trap? What is the moral counterfactual trap? Asking what should have happened instead of what happened. Explain why should have questions are dangerous. Explain why should have questions are dangerous. Introduce moral judgment, not legal duty. Give a safe response to counterfactual questions. Give a safe response to counterfactual questions. And only speak to what I did, not hypotheticals. What is the most important answering rule in a deposition? What is the most important answering rule in a deposition? Answer only the question asked, nothing more. Describe the risk of volunteering information. Describe the risk of volunteering information. Extra details can be reframed against you later. Describe the kind of language to use. Describe the kind of language to use. Neutral, fact, precise. Identify what to avoid in wording. Identify what to avoid in wording. Emotional judgments, legal conclusions, moral explanations. Explain the difference between observation and interpretation. Explain the difference between observation and interpretation. Observation states facts, interpretation assigns meaning. Provide an example of a safe observation. Provide an example of a safe observation. They called me frequently. Give an example of a dangerous interpretation. Give an example of a dangerous interpretation. They depended on me. Why are time boundaries important? Why are time boundaries important? Prevent late decline from judging earlier actions. How should changes over time be described? How should changes over time be described? Separate earlier from later clearly. What phrases are safe to repeat? What phrases are safe to repeat? Not have authority. I did not make that decision. That was handled by the trustee. Explain why repetition is acceptable. Explain why repetition is acceptable. Consistency protects against misinterpretation. List phrases to avoid entirely. List phrases to avoid entirely. They needed me. I felt responsible. I tried to protect them. I should have done more. Describe why certain phrases are dangerous. Describe why certain phrases are dangerous. They convert care into control. Find the key difference between a friend and a fiduciary. Find the key difference between a friend and a fiduciary. A fiduciary has legal authority and duties. A friend does not. Who must justify financial decisions in a trust case? Who must justify financial decisions in a trust case? The trustee. Can a trustee shift responsibility onto a friend? Can a trustee shift responsibility onto a friend? No, fiduciary responsibility cannot be outsourced. What mental question should you ask before answering? What mental question should you ask before answering? Is this asking for facts or meaning? What should you do if a question asks for meaning? What should you do if a question asks for meaning? Decline politely and return to facts.